Assalamualaikum. Hello, Bu Mirza and our friend. We are from Group 2. And before we start, we will introduce ourselves. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Nur Abid Fadhllurrohman with an RP 501-220-1105, and I'm from Civil Engineering Department.
Hello, I'm Yusuf at Prastowo with NRP 50122011003. I'm from Civil Engineering Department.
Hello everyone, my name is Alya Putri with an RP 5010201098 from Industrial and Systems Engineering.
Hello everyone, my name is Riski Putri Pribadi with NRP 5010201096 from Industrial and System Engineering. So in this video, we are going to explain about the government policies which are in accordance and also not comply with Pancasila in dealing with COVID-19. Please enjoy.
I will explain to you news about contribution or policies from the government in dealing with COVID-19 which are in accordance with the principle in Pancasila. Okay, I will start screen. Oke, news is upaya dan kebijakan pemerintah Indonesia dalam menangani pandemi COVID-19. As you know, at the end of 2019, the COVID-19 virus appeared in China and then spread to various world, including Indonesia in 2020. Indonesia has made a preventive effort with close supervision on the entrance to Indonesia from other countries, including airports, ports, and cross-border posts. Early detection as a form surveillance is carried out mainly for 19 areas that have direct access to China, namely Jakarta, Padang, Tarakan, Bandung, Jambi, Palembang, Denpasar, Surabaya, and Manado. Okay. When there is the first case of coronavirus in Indonesia, the government urged not to panic. However, field facts show that transmission of coronavirus occurred very quickly. Within 11 days after the announcement of the first case, the number of positive cases of corona in Indonesia reached 69 people, 4 of whom died and 5 cases recovered. Okay. Because the number of coronavirus spread in Indonesia is too much and various consideration, Presiden Jokowi set regulation on large-scale social restriction through government regulation or peraturan pemerintah number 21 of 2020 about pembatasan sosial berskala besar or PSBB in order to accelerate the handling of COVID-19. This step is taken to break the chain of transmission of COVID-19 virus, and the government is also prohibit homecoming or larangan mudik is one example of the government efforts to prevent the spread of COVID. Based on this news, principles in Pancasila that are in accordance with that contribution policy is fourth principle Pancasila or Pancasila Sila keempat. Because supporting government policies in implementing large-scale social restriction or pembatasan sosial besar-besar is one way to minimize the spread of COVID-19. And the other policies like prohibition of homecoming and social distancing from others. Okay, that's all from me.
So I will explain the news that includes some policies in dealing with COVID-19, which is following the principle of Pancasila. The news is derived from Kompas.com that focuses on 8 special rules for Eid al-Fitr celebration during the COVID-19 pandemic. So based on the Minister of Religion Circular Letter number 7 of 2021, several rules are obligated to be implemented by all citizens in Indonesia during Eid al-Fitri. For instance, the first, circular takbiran is diminished, where it only allows 10% of mosque capacity. The second one, Eid prayer in the red and orange zone is done at home. The third one, Eid prayer in the yellow and green zone is allowed to be done at hall or mosque with 50% of total capacity. The fourth, elderly and weak people are suggested to pray at home. The fifth, all pilgrims are obligated to wear the mask. The sixth, stages for religious lectures need to be equipped with a barrier. The seventh, no physical contact during halal bihalal. And the last one, open house is suggested to be done only by close family. So based on this policy, the first verse of Pancasila can be analyzed from the importance of implementing Eid prayer. Even though we are in the pandemic situation, the essence of Eid al-Fitri can still be realized with some restrictions. The government still allows Muslims to implement their Eid prayer, listen to religious lecture, and open houses, which highlight the importance of religion. Then the second verse of Pancasila can be seen where every people obligate to treat each other with ethical manner, with concentrate of health protocol. Therefore, the sense of human will emerge. Then the third verse can be analyzed where all citizens must be united to implement it. Then the third verse can be analyzed where all citizens must be united to implement these rules to decrease the spread of COVID-19 in Indonesia. It can be seen where it obligated to wear the mask and no physical contact. And furthermore, the fourth verse of Pancasila can be seen where the policies are made through several discussions between the government, the Ministry of Religion, and also Islamic organizations. And eventually, the fifth verse of Pancasila can be analyzed based on the target of people for the rules, where it includes all citizens in Indonesia who are Muslims to implement these policies without any exception. It promotes fairness between people, and every Muslim must obey this rule. In contrast, other citizens with their religion also need to implement the health protocol, which becomes the foundation of this rule. So that is one of the example of new studies in accordance with Pancasila during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Hello everyone, here I am. I want to explain the impact of the PSBB regulation on the trade sector as opposed to the Pancasila. After this, I will share the article that I've got, not article, the news that I've got from the internet. Let me share my screen. This is the one of the impact of PSBB in DKI Jakarta. During the pandemic, many workers whose income has decreased, some have even quit their jobs. This pandemic brings losses to various sectors, one of which is trade. One of the people affected by this trade sector is the food seller. DKI Jakarta total PSBB policy has prompted food traders to start tightening their waste trap. One of them, the owner of a warteg in Palmerah, West Jakarta, RD, he admit that he was surprised when he heard Anies Baswedan announcement that he would enforce the PSBB. However, his shock turned too anxious because he was not allowed to serve customer to eat on the spot, and he was only allowed to sell for takeaway. Meanwhile, about 70% of the buyers usually eat on the spot. This means that he has the potential to lose 70% of daily turnover. Most of Ardi's customers are also employees who work around the Palmera area. If the office are closed, Ardi's income was certainly declined drastically. This regulation slightly violates Indonesia's fifth precept, namely social justice for all Indonesian people, or Indonesia we can say keadilan sosial bagi seluruh rakyat Indonesia, because in fact all Indonesia people have the right to equal social justice. Due to the emergency situation, this precept cannot be realized in several aspects of community work. For example, food vendors, catering, and wedding organizer. Another story happened to KK. He took a day off on the first day of PSBB. The rice bookseller in Tanah Abang admit that he closed to play it safe. He said the daily income since Tanah Abang returned to operation had fallen sharply by the more than 50%. He has worried that selling it would result in losses. Learning from his experience at the first PSBB, many shops were closed and not many people stopped by the clothing wholesale building in the central Jakarta. Since the coronavirus entered Indonesia last March, KK business has been busy first. He can no longer joke with his customer on the sidelines of trading. Now everyone keep their distance, bring their own food, and breaks the expenses. As a result, income has declined. Since a few months ago, KK admit that he was no longer as diligent in trying out food in Tanah Abang as before. Now, he chooses to start trying to sell online to the people close to him. The COVID-19 pandemic has indeed brought calamity to the all Indonesia people, but it was nice for us to remain united to eradicate the virus and restore Indonesia economy to be as it was before. That what we can do to prevent the virus from entering our bodies is by washing our hands, wearing masks, and keeping our distances. Things like that can prevent the virus from entering, then slowly the Indonesia economy will recover. Maybe that's all for me. Thank you for listening for my explanation. This is the article that I took from CNN Indonesia. Thank you for listening my explanation.
All right. So I will talk about the prohibition of Eid al-Fitr homecoming. We know about the regulation or addendum to the COVID-19 Task Force number 13 of 2021 regarding the prohibition of the Eid al-Fitr homecoming, which lasts from 6 until 17 May 2021. And it is being discussed and opposed by some of the Indonesian people. In fact, this addendum is good if implemented properly so that COVID-19 in Indonesia can be controlled. However, the very unfortunate is the government's decisions to continue accepting foreign people to enter Indonesia. And I think this will cause the new COVID-19 virus to enter Indonesia. This is also seen as unfair. How come citizens of Indonesia are made difficult by government, but citizens of other countries are made easy to enter Indonesia? Wow! This governance behavior has offended many Indonesians. It can also be said that the government has not been able to implement the second principle of Pancasila, which threats kemanusiaan yang adil dan beradab. In my opinion, if the government is able to issue this addendum and implement it well, also impose restrictions on foreign citizens entering, it is likely that the increase in the number of COVID-19 will be suppressed, and the public will not be disappointed with the regulation. Thus, in my opinion, the government must be wiser in determining regulations so that it is fairer for all of us and more civilized for all Indonesian people. Thank you. Okay, that's all from us.
Thank you for watching.